Yikhona minjani baby girl?
Thank you. Honorable members, before we proceed, I would like to remind you that the virtual mini plenary is deemed to be in the precincts of Parliament and constitutes a meeting of the National Assembly for debating purposes only. In addition to the rules of virtual sittings, the rules of the National Assembly and the rules of debate do apply, and members enjoy the same powers and privileges that apply in a sitting of the National Assembly. Members should equally note that anything said in the virtual platform is deemed to have been said to the House and may be ruled upon. All members who have logged in shall be considered to be present and are requested to mute their microphones and only unmute when recognized to speak. The microphones are very sensitive and will pick up noise, which may disturb the attention of other members. And when recognized to speak, please unmute your microphone and connect your video. Members may make use of the icons on the bar at the bottom of their screens, which has an option that allows a member to put up his or her hand to raise a point of order. The Secretariat will assist me in this regard. When the virtual system is being used, members are urged to refrain or desist from unnecessary points of order or interjections, and members who continually engage in the practice and ignore the chairperson's rulings in this regard may be removed from the platform. We shall now proceed to the order, which is debate on vote number 36, Small Business Development Appropriation Bill. I now recognize the Honorable Minister of Small Business Development. The Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much, House Chairperson, and good afternoon to all the honorable members in the House. House Chairperson, as I say that, allow me to recognize yourself, recognize all the honorable members of the National Assembly, the distinguished guests, entrepreneurs, and small, medium, and micro business owners, and of course, recognize the Deputy Minister of the Department of Small Business with all our agencies and the government officials. Honorable Chair, as we are in times of economic hardship, we stand before the people of our country to bring programs that will lift the burden from their shoulders. Our policies drawn from manifesto commitments of the ANC continue to make it easy for investors to inject money in our economy, creating business opportunities for small businesses to trade. Honorable members, we will use our policy instruments to provide business finance to start up businesses and invest in existing businesses to give them the much needed support for their growth. The budget vote we are tabling here as the Department of Small Business Development contains programs and services drawn from progressive policies that the ANC government received as per the mandate that it got from the people of our country. Small businesses might be small in size and turnover, but they are not small in injecting jobs in our economy and in sustaining the livelihood of our people. While we are in times of hardship, we have a responsibility to use policy instruments like business grants that are offered by many government institutions to bring joy and hope to the people of our country. President Ramaphosa, in his 2022 State of the Nation address, announced a number of measures, including in the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan, to bring such hope and to place our economy on a path of economic recovery to replace the 2 million jobs lost as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. The president was very clear. Government has to prioritize SMMEs and cooperatives on the basis that these are the businesses that will create the most jobs and provide the most opportunities for poor people and those that are in businesses. All stakeholders, therefore, must pitch in as part of the new social compact for jobs, growth, and transformation. We must leave no one behind. In the spirit of social compacting, the ministry and officials from the department have met with stakeholders, SMMEs, and cooperatives across the country, and in order to ensure that we engage. We undertook roadshows across the provinces. To date, we have covered 6 of the 9 provinces. We met with SMMEs, cooperatives, and other stakeholders working at the coalface to hear their concerns and issues. We opened up our door to meet with strategic stakeholders, including the community constituents in NEDLAC, international and local development partners, large corporates in the banking, mining, agriculture, manufacturing, retail, telecoms, the digital sector, and other representative business structures, including ministries and agencies, our provincial counterparts and local counterparts. In all these meetings, honorable members, we asked 3 questions. Are our policies and instruments working for SMMEs and cooperatives? What can we do better? What do we work together to achieve greater scale and impact? And what we discovered was this. The first one, we need to make it easier for SMMEs and cooperatives to do business. The regulatory burden on SMMEs is real, and we need to reduce red tape. This is why President Ramaphosa appointed Mr. Ngosi in order to make sure that we can fast track that work. The second component, we need to do more to open up markets to SMMEs. Everywhere, small business owners are complaining about being squeezed out of markets by large players. This is what the Competition Commission has characterized as over-concentration in our economy. Thirdly, SMMEs and cooperatives are battling to obtain credit from banks. This has been especially disastrous for SMMEs hard hit by the COVID-19 pandemic, by the July 2021 unrest, and by climate change disasters like the recent floods in KZN and the Eastern Cape. The fourth one, our own reach and accessibility as the department was also questioned, especially in townships and impoverished rural areas. We must address this to have more impact. The fifth one, government is not working as a one joined up force to support SMMEs and cooperatives. The district development model is directing us towards working as one, and we must do more to make this work. Lastly, honorable members, and which augurs well for the broader social compact, there is huge appetite and goodwill among a wide range of SMME stakeholders to partner with the department and its portfolio organizations. This will ensure that the public funds voted to the department will leverage significant additional resources and capacity from our strategic partners. Honorable Chairperson, this approach of mobilizing strategic partnerships across the entire small enterprise ecosystem is directly aligned to our National Integrated Small Enterprise Development Master Plan, which has recently been approved by Cabinet for public consultation. We have also drawn from the collective wisdom and feedback of the DSPD Portfolio Committee, which has helped shape our strategic focus and priorities for 2022-2023. For the year ahead, as the DSPD portfolio, we are focused on 5 core priority areas. Chairperson, the first priority area is to enable the startup and development of SMMEs and cooperatives through red tape reduction and enabling legislation, as I mentioned earlier. Of course, here we are focusing on the cost of regulatory compliance. As I said, President Ramaphosa announced the appointment of Mr. Ngosi. We are therefore working hand in hand with them in ensuring that we identify bottlenecks and make sure that we provide solutions that are required to do away with those environments. We are confident that the political authority and leadership of the presidency across the whole of government will enable the red tape and blockages to be resolved urgently. This year, as the department, we are going to predominantly focus on the local government sphere. And of course, building on the administrative simplification program that the department is working on, currently piloting in 3 district municipalities. These honorable members will be scaled up to assist 20 municipalities in different provinces. We are collaborating with COCTA and SALGA. We will work with provinces as we do through MinMax and gear up their role in the red tape reduction. We are busy, Honorable Chairperson, ensuring that all the existing regulatory burdens, as well as preventing new burdens through the new legislations, regulations, and bylaws is done away with. We are working closely with all our sister departments in order to create an enabling environment within where SMMEs and cooperatives can thrive. We continue with the review of the Businesses Act, which will provide for a simple and enabling framework for business licensing by setting national norms and standards. Honorable members, we are also looking at amendments of the National Small Enterprise Act of 1996 that will provide for the establishment of the Small Enterprise Ombuds Office. This office will provide a fair and inexpensive dispute resolution for SMMEs, averting their need to resort to costly and long drawn out litigation. Public comments have been received on the bill and we are considering them. We will keep the House as well as the social partners in NEDLAC closely informed of progress in amending this legislation and of challenges should they arise. The second strategic focus area is market development and market access. Our work in this area comes from the recognition that markets are not sufficiently competitive and are overly concentrated, a legacy of our apartheid past that we have to deal with. The recent report by the Competition Commission provides useful guidance on market power across different sectors and how SMMEs continue to be disadvantaged. We must at the same time, honorable members, use the public spend and work with the private sector to co-create inclusive markets within which our SMMEs can thrive. If government is serious about creating jobs and enhancing the participation of small businesses, it has to be shown through the public spend. This is at the heart of our localization strategy, with prioritization given to Black-owned, youth-owned, and women-owned enterprises. Markets are also specially concentrated, and we are developing strategic private partnerships to integrate township and rural entrepreneurs into key retail, manufacturing, and other high potential value chains. We continue to implement our localization policy framework, including the listing of product brands produced by SMMEs and cooperatives with wholesalers and retailers, amongst other industries, as a way of increasing access to markets. We are working with several government departments and entities to increase the SMME density of state markets while the public procurement bill is being finalized. It is important that the country reduces its dependency on imported products by supporting locally manufactured products. This is also strategic given the disruptions we have come to experience over the past 2 years in the global value chains. The department and its agencies have established working relationships with larger retailers across the country and outside. These include, amongst others, Discam, Clicks, Pick and Pay, and many that I talk about. Buzobetu, which is a women-owned textile and design manufacturer based in the township of Zolita in the Eastern Cape, has been a beneficiary of this program that we're talking about through introduction to a retailer, and of course their business was supported with equipment and machinery by SIDA. The localization program also saw one of our officials, Ms. Chantel Martin, who won the Public Sector Leader Award for the 18th Annual Top Women Awards, which was hosted by Standard Bank on the 4th of November, 2021. This year, we will build on the localization support we have done to date. We're currently finalizing our enterprise supplier development partnerships with a number of large corporates around market co-creation, as well as gearing SMMEs to service these markets at the right quality and price. We are setting up a public-private partnership projects platform which will enable collaboration and shared accountability. This, honorable members, is not for advocacy, but for implementation of specific projects that will be identified. By way of example, our partnership with Tiger Brands will introduce aggregator models where small Black producers can collectively achieve the scale for large offtakes. Tiger Brands will provide warehousing and logistics, as well as stock finance and technical skills to support the integration of township-based entrepreneurs into their formal food and beverage supply chains. I would like to invite other companies to join the train, as the department will make sure we support the SMMEs who access these supply chain opportunities by contributing to the other critical parts of the ecosystem. We will leverage on the 500 million innovation fund, which is developed through the ecosystem development for small enterprise support program in partnership with the EU, which is very important as an initiative to finance Black suppliers. It is envisaged that this fund will leverage more than 3 billion for enterprise supplier development support from private banks and non-financial institutions. We recently launched the She Trades ZA Hub in South Africa, wherein we have made sure that this financial year, we have passed about 2,400 companies, women-owned, that have been registered. And in this financial year, we are going to add at least 2,500 to that list. We will allocate 416 million rands over the medium term to sector and market development work within the department. Our third strategic focus is access to business development services and support infrastructure. Our approach is to upscale our support to incubators and digital hubs, roll out business support infrastructure in townships and rural areas, and massify entrepreneurship and business development training and support. Much of this work happens through our entity CEDA. With regards to the incubation support, it is now widely recognized that incubation significantly increases the survival rate of startups. As a country, we currently have a low survival rate for SMME startups, with the recent GM report indicating that 80% of businesses fail in their first 3 years of existence. To address this, honorable members, we have set a target of establishing operational business incubators in South Africa by 2020, and the number is 250. These incubators, of course, are a combination of private sector and government. And at the end of March 2021, we are proud to report that we have supported 110 incubators. 12 new ones were approved through the incubation unit at 60 million rands. And this financial year, we're gonna be including an 11 one that is added, that is being approved as we speak. We are deliberately targeting underserved provinces and districts. Some of the areas where the additional incubators are planned for includes districts as Sarah Bartman, Job Gabi, Fezile Dabi, Kharib, Sidibeng, West Rand, Amajuba, Ilembe, and many others throughout the country. We did say, Honorable Chair, we will leave no one behind. The additional new incubators being developed by the private sector will increase an additional 25,000 jobs, in addition to more than 100,000 already secured through the incubation centers we have supported. The partnership with Gen and 22 on Sloan builds on the work undertaken directly by our department and CEDA around entrepreneurship training and support. This year, a total of 20,000 SMMEs and cooperatives will be provided awareness training through CEDA, with 75,000 SMMEs and co-ops being targeted over the MTF. This will be a similar emphasis on training, mentorship, and coaching, with 66,000 enterprises and cooperatives over the MTF again. We are also hosting the Presidential SMME Awards in order to recognize and showcase entrepreneurial talent. This will be part of a broader SMME Indaba, where we'll officially launch several partnerships that will implement with the private sector and other development partners. Chairperson, our roadshows reveal the challenge of services access in townships and rural areas. Many entrepreneurs complained about the expensive public transport to get to their nearest CEDA or SEFA branch. We have listened. This year, we are going to establish 80 new CEDA centers in townships and rural areas at a cost of 24 million, which is an establishment cost. As we move towards the merged new entity, these service points will also incorporate SIFA offerings. I repeat, we will leave no one behind. Besides service infrastructure, we will also fund the establishment of shared infrastructure facilities for SMMEs and cooperatives through our shared economic infrastructure facility. For this year, we've set aside 55.9 million that we started from the 2021-2022 financial year. The approved projects will support emerging farmers, cooperatives, and informal business and create more than 5,000 jobs. The fourth pillar, our area, Honorable Chair, is access to finance. Our work here is aimed at reducing the prevailing credit gap, estimated to be 346 billion, honorable members. That is the gap in funding SMMEs in South Africa. A key milestone in this work will be the finalization of the South African SMMEs and cooperatives funding policy, which is currently undergoing through consultations and is going to be concluded this financial year. It will create a seamless flow of funding from financiers to small enterprises in South Africa. Through SIFA, we will prioritize building a sustainable loan book through the expansion of credit and decreasing impairments. We are also building on the success we have had with credit guarantees, which have been able to leverage additional monies from private banking and non-banking financial intermediaries. Here we'll deliberate in building a sustainable Black-owned financial intermediary base. This is critical to our future success. We are prioritizing the automation of SIFA's application process to speed up turnaround times. People have complained. We are also undertaking measures to increase access to rural and townships through improving our visibility, as I reported earlier. We are confident that there will be an equitable fund flow across provinces. The 2 billion rands SIFA funding envelope for 2022-23, which is inclusive of the DSBD transfer together with other generated funds, will see over 200 million rands dispersed, at least in each province, and slightly more for the poorer rural provinces, such as Limpopo, Free State, Northwest, Eastern Cape, Mpumalanga, and Northern Cape. We are deliberate about redress and we can't apologize. This money is expected to support 84,831 SMMEs and cooperatives, therefore creating 104,968 jobs. This is the massification and scale that President called for in SONA. We have developed our own funding instruments to respond to the SMME credit gap. Of course, if you look at our flagship program, the Township and Rural Enterprise Program, it's really dedicated at transforming and integrating opportunities in townships and rural areas into productive business ventures. For this financial year, our allocation is 953,325,000 rands, with a target of supporting 24,000 township and rural enterprises across various subsectors. The second program is the Small Enterprise Manufacturing Support. It is a key program for our localization strategy. The purpose of this is to diversify and strengthen the country's industrial base through a focused import replacement program. The financial support provided through this program is up to 15 million rands per entity that we are reviewing, honorable members. An amount of 295,994,000 rands has been set aside for the program for 2022-2023. Our third program is the Young Entrepreneurs Program, which is aimed at contributing to the high youth unemployment in the country and to align with the National Youth Policy. One of our new initiatives here we are implementing with SIDA and SIFA is the Youth Challenge Fund that we launched in December 2021. This year, this Young Entrepreneurs Program is being put to scale with 10,000 startups targeted for the 2022-23 financial year. We are also ensuring an increased target of youth across our various financial instruments. Between our department and CIFA, 630 million will be made available for youth entrepreneurs and SMMEs. The fourth one is the cooperative support. Here we are looking at cooperative enterprises to support financially and non-financially, and this we do in partnership with other key strategic stakeholders. The program offers blended financing and that is eligible to cooperatives on a cost-sharing combination of a grant and loan. For this year, the budget allocation is 76.9 million with a target of supporting 200 cooperatives. This is the number that needs to increase pending Treasury's approval. The last area, of course, is institutional strengthening and gearing. We have listened to the advice of the Portfolio Committee to urgently ramp up capacity. We have had the line of march that service delivery should not be compromised while we establish the new entity, which will result from the merger of CEDA and CIFA and the Cooperatives Bank Development Agency. In the area of institutional strengthening, for this year, we will be seized with 4 priorities. We'll see the draft National Integrated Small Enterprise Development Master Plan throughout its finalization. It was presented to Cabinet as I reported earlier. We will strengthen our information management systems across the portfolio to better understand the relevance and value of offerings. Over the next 2 years, we will complete the SMME database, put in place a district information system, develop a capable monitoring and evaluation system, and ultimately develop a digital one-stop shop with 4IR capabilities that will serve all players in the ecosystem. To this end, we will draw on technical support from the World Bank and the EDSA program. We will finalize our organizational structure and align it to our strategy. We will, over the next few months, fill critical posts, including the DDG post. Chairperson, as I conclude, I table before you the budget vote of the department for this financial year. It is an indication of government's commitment to promote the development of small businesses. The department is allocated a budget of 2,563 million rands for this year. This allocation to the agencies of the department will go smoothly towards the support of our people. Let me extend my sincere gratitude to the Portfolio Committee for guidance, as well as stakeholders and all SMMEs, cooperatives and informal businesses for the continued support to the ministry. I would like to thank the Deputy Minister, Mr. Dlamini, and the rest of the ministry team, the Director General of the department, and everyone that has been working with us. Thank you so much, and we invite you all to work hand in hand with the department in order to help create jobs whilst we are growing our economy. Thank you, Chairperson.
The next speaker is the Honorable Siwela.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Ministers and Deputy Ministers in our midst, members of the Portfolio Committee on Small Business Development, and honorable members. It has been an eventful year in the life of our country and across the globe since the last budget vote debate. South Africa, like the rest of the world, has had to deal with the human cost and massive economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, social unrest in KZN and Gauteng in July 2021, and the devastating floods, particularly in KZN, Eastern Cape, and Northwest. There are signs of economic recovery taking place, especially since vaccines have been rolled out. We see economic activities happening all around us in our townships, villages, and cities. People are selling their products, going out to restaurants, music concerts, tourism attraction, and living life as they used to be before the pandemic struck our beautiful country. While we celebrate these beginnings of economic recovery, we must not lower our guards and suffer as a fifth wave of COVID-19 is looming. There are many risks to our outlook for small business recovery, including the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, rising interest rates, and our domestic electricity constraints. It is important to acknowledge that the purpose of what it seeks small business development is to promote the development of small businesses and cooperative enterprises. Its ultimate objective is to contribute to inclusive economic growth and job creation in South Africa. It is on this mandate that the Portfolio Committee reports to this House, makes observations and recommendations for consideration and adoption. One of the most debated points made by the President in this year's State of Nation address was his affirmation that the private sector has a large responsibility to drive job creation. The President said that about 80% of people in South Africa are employed in the private sector. The test for government, therefore, is how it creates the conditions that enable particularly small business and cooperative to emerge, to grow, to access new markets, to create new products, and to employ more people. Our people must be given the necessary regulatory, financial, and other support to unleash their dimensions in the economy. Cancer Minister Siyabonga, because you have mentioned that you are going to make sure that you don't leave anyone out. Honorable members, while there is undoubtable evidence of progress with structural reforms as outlined by the President in February and our Minister today, there is still the difficult reality experienced by people on the ground. The drive to reduce red tapes, support businesses and facilitate the development of new industry are indeed encouraging. However, small business people have told our committee on numerous occasions that they would like to see a greater sense of agency and a far stronger commitment to accelerate employment, stimulus to create jobs, and funding for their business ventures. This can only happen if the department can fast track those bills to be adopted by Parliament. Government must do more to address backlogs, particularly in the energy sector that continue to haunt particularly small business. Honorable Minister, we are considering this budget vote when the unemployment rate in our country is the highest it has been in decades. The really unemployment rate stood at 46.3% at the end of the fourth quarter of 2021. This is horrible picture by any measure. These levels, these levels of unemployment in a country with a history of racial, class, and gender oppression are simply unsustainable. The Department of Small Business Development should be capacitated to play a much more dynamic role in rolling back these painful realities in our country. As much as we agree with you, Honorable Minister, that in your organogram and on the issue of vacancy posts, you are going to appoint, because if the vehicle is not oiled, it won't move. So we appreciate that, and that should happen urgently. We have noted the marginal increase in expenditure of the department at an average annual rate of 0.6% from 2.6 billion in 2021-22 to 2.7 billion in 2024-25 financial year. Given the scale of the challenges in our economy, this by no means is enough to allow the department to fulfill its mandate. The committee has expressed its concern regarding the budget cuts to CEDA funding in the light of rising unemployment. But ke siyabonga Minister ngoba uyasho ukuthi you are going to open centers so that you are closer to the people who will appreciate that. Let us also utilize our PCOs, because what is important, we appreciate all the plans documented well, but the problem is to make sure that we reduce this unemployment and more people get jobs. That will satisfy us as the committee. The committee welcomes the reintroduction of the Small Business Advisory Council, as this has been our regular recommendation since the 5th administration. We also welcome the measures taken with respect to cutting unnecessary red tapes. The committee supports and welcomes the appointment of Mr. Siponkosi by the President as a seasoned business expert. We trust that he will assist the government eliminate red tapes that stifles investment and growth of SMEs and cooperatives. We believe as the Portfolio Committee, Honorable Minister, the DDM model will assist us because there is a disjuncture between the 3 levels sphere of governance, where we must make sure that LED desks in our municipalities is working together with us, because most issues which are supposed to be dealt on the ground, they are not being dealt, and the department cannot be all over, but that model will assist us to make sure that we touch the ground. So we really appreciate that DDM model as the Portfolio Committee. Honorable Minister, as we said in our previous engagement, our committee is concerned that the department has not tabled legislation in recent years for consideration by Parliament. And we know that those processes takes long. The department is now 8 years old, it must move. So our request is that please, as the department, try your best that those pieces of legislation are taken into cognizance. In spite of the numerous loopholes that necessitate policy or legislation change in the sector, we acknowledge that the draft National Small Enterprise Amendment Bill intended to amend the National Small Enterprise Act of 1996, which was published for comments in the Government Gazette in December 2020. However, it is disappointing that not much progress has been achieved since then. We therefore call on government to accelerate the completion of the National Small Enterprise Amendment Bill. The committee believes that the achievement of the department's objectives depends on the successful completion of this bill. For instance, the amalgamation of SEDA, SEDA, and CBDA must be underpinned by an act of Parliament. The establishment of Small Enterprise Ombuds Office will also be facilitated in part by the bill. The committee knows and welcomes the areas where progress has been made. We call for the finalization of the department's organizational structure and field of critical senior post, because if your structure is limping, we're not going to achieve our objectives, Honorable Minister. We recommend that proposed business case required by National Treasurer, DPSA, and DPME concerning the major structural reconfiguration and filling of vacant posts should not be achieved to the detriment of the small business sector. We call on the department. Pardon?
Thank you. Your time has expired. Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker is the Honorable De Villiers.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, there are currently 2 wars that have a major impact on South Africans. The first is the much publicized war in Ukraine, where Russia has invaded the independent country and is relentlessly murdering its citizens. This war will have a devastating economic effect on the world's economy, including our own. Ukraine is one of the biggest producers of grain and cooking oil in the world, and the war in Ukraine will translate into rising local prices on these items, which form an already important part of South African households' ability to put food on the table. Small business owners will be hit hard, as they are forced to react to the rising cost of doing business, while their customers' ability to spend worsens. This brings me to the second war that threatens South Africa, the war on poverty, unemployment, and inequality. This war is currently being lost, as unemployment recently soared to 35% by the narrow definition and 46% by the expanded definition. As explained by the President in his SONA address, it is widely supported by most parties and commentators that small businesses and SMMEs could be the engine of economic growth that South Africa needs to bring down unemployment. And it therefore becomes critical that government creates an environment for SMMEs to thrive. The purpose of this budget vote for the Department of Small Business Development is exactly that, to enable the department to promote the development of small businesses, which it does via various services and its agencies, SEDA and CIFA. As a department, there are various goals which most portfolio committee members agree on. And these include the prioritization of the following: the urgent merger of SEDA and CIFA in order to give an improved service to small business owners who need business support and financial solutions, such as access to finance. The creation of a regulatory environment that improves the ease of doing business. The establishment of the Small Enterprise Ombud Office, so SMMEs can settle disputes more cost effectively and have more effective protection against bullying by bigger business. And then lastly, measures to embrace the informal business sector and help them come into the formal business sector. If executed effectively, these and other measures by the department can help SMMEs become better engines of growth. But Chairperson, the simple reality is that for a small business to really thrive, South Africa needs much more than just the Department of Small Business Development initiatives. Small businesses cannot function without a growing economy that creates markets and profit opportunities, a stable power grid that works and is reliable, functional and well-maintained transport infrastructure, roads, rail, harbors, and airports, protection of citizens and their place of employment by a functioning and well-run police force, and a professional state run by capable officials who have no political ties and were not cadre deployed. Chairperson, the reality is that small business cannot function if national government does not function. And herein lies the biggest threat and also opportunity for small business. The biggest threat to small business development remains the management of our country via the ANC in control of national government. There can be no doubt that as long as the ANC remains in control of this country, we will have no reliable power. Politically connected criminals will be allowed to continue to steal taxpayer money, infrastructure will increasingly fail, the police will remain dysfunctional, and unemployment, inequality, and poverty will get worse. But it's not just doom and gloom for South Africa. The opportunity at our country's doorstep is the 2024 national election, where voters can choose to break the ANC cycle of abuse that cripples our country's wonderful potential. Chairperson, if voters reject the ANC in 2024, a new DA-led coalition government can fix the power network, so people and businesses have power. Road and trains can run again, so people can travel to work. The police can be restored to corrupt-free guardians of society, so small businesses and their employees can operate fearlessly in a society free from criminal syndicates, theft, murder, and fraud. Taxpayers can trust the government that their taxes are not being stolen by cadres, but paid to professional government officials who are qualified for their jobs and operate free from political interference, giving all small businesses a fair chance to compete for government tenders without political meddling. Chairperson, if South Africa was a business, it would be as simple as to say, we need new management. And for that, the shareholders, the citizens of this country, need to fire the ANC management by 2024 by voting for a party that has a proven management track record, a party that gets things done. Only then can we break the back of the poverty cycle and create employment, equality, and wealth for the deserving people of South Africa. I thank you.
Member, next is Honorable Matulelwa. The Honorable Matulelwa, you may continue.
Thank you, Chair. Greetings to the Commander-in-Chief, the Whippery of the EFF, the Battalion of the EFF, and the rejected businesses out there. Honorable Chairperson, the EFF rejects the proposed budget for small businesses because this is a budget of salaries and procurement for the department and not to help small businesses. This is made worse by giving such an important portfolio to a minister who does not take either their job or small businesses seriously. As for the EFF, we have made it very clear in the past that we do not need the department, but a way for the ruling party to distribute patronage to the cronies in training who do not have original ideas but steal other people's businesses. We have proposed in the past that there is no basis to separate small businesses from trade and industry. The basis of industrial policy in South Africa must start with small businesses and be spread across all provinces. This was captured in the failed NDP. The government made commitments that it would procure more than 30% from small businesses, but this is not true. It was a department created out of need to create positions for factions in the ruling party, and it must come to an end, Chairperson. The same way we say it as the EFF, there was no need to have a department for the economic development, and we were vindicated. We didn't just say this in speeches, but we have spent time with small businesses in KwaZulu-Natal and Eastern Cape and other provinces to understand how the decision to separate small businesses from industrial policy has impacted entrepreneurs. We have spent time with UNEDO and Border Taxis Association in Matatiel, Mount Fletcher, Maclear, and Umtata in the Eastern Cape, who spend a lot of money in automotive industry, but do not benefit from any industrial activities. And this is the case with the most taxis associations all over the country. As a result, the only source of revenue is the routes, and it causes conflicts. Even when these associations ask for basic support, such as land to build taxi ranks, they are not given land. Instead, they are harassed by the traffic police on a daily basis. We have spent time with small businesses in Ezingolweni Township in Port Shepstone, whose businesses were burnt down during the 2021 July unrest, Minister. Your department promised to intervene. CEDA promised to intervene, and the other entities in the provincial and local government promised to intervene. But these businesses are still in ruin. We have spent time with small businesses, with hawkers, with small businesses in Ezingolweni Townships. Port Shepstone businesses were burnt down, yes. We have spent time with hawkers and street vendors in Isipingo, KwaZulu-Natal, who are also still waiting for the relief fund after 2021 July unrest. And when we submit questions on written reply to the minister, they are responded to with disregard. We have also spent time with the cooperatives who produces T3 peanuts, mango, and bananas in their own gardens in Ward 32, Reinkonyeni local municipality in Uku district. These communities are the victims of the colonial and apartheid laws that dispossessed Black people from their land. Today, they want their land back to grow their farming, as they are already exporting their products overseas, Chairperson. But because there is no clear direction from the government, no intention to expropriate land without compensation for equal redistribution, and there is no clear link between farming, agro-processing, and retail, these small businesses are doomed to die. Small businesses are not only suffering in automotive and farming sector, but in all other sectors as well. We found the same in construction, retail, textiles, and hospitality. What is even worse is that the government, especially municipalities in the biggest, are the biggest culprit that are killing the small businesses. They accept services from small businesses, but do not pay them on time. In November 2020, a small business called Thompson Construction did work for Alfred Nzo District Municipality, but they haven't been paid yet. We must close the department and make small businesses the business of industrial policy. Chairperson, I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Lutuli. The Honourable Lutuli.
Thank you, Chair. A small business is a key driver of the economic and empowerment and deserve the dedication of the support of the government. It is not just the IFP that emphasizes the importance of small business when it comes to job creation, according small matters. A 2019 study by the International Labour Organization, which include the data from the South Africa, is almost all of the 99 countries in the sample, the self-employed and micro and small medium enterprises. Small economy units make up more than 2/3 of the employment. This being said, we would like to remind the government of the commitment through the Department of Small Development for the focus on the enhanced support to the small business and cooperatives with the emphasis of the program to advance entrepreneurship amongst the women and the youth and young with the disabilities to the contribution to the job creation and economic growth. As our country attempt to slow pick up the pieces in the wake of the crisis growth, COVID-19 pandemic, we were knocked sideways in July 2021 by the destruction of unrest in KZN and Gauteng. According to the South African Special Risks Insurance Association, damage in July's looting and mayhem, the most expensive riots in the world, costing more than 50 billion rand. This was followed by yet more devastation in 2022 with the flooding in KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern Cape. Not only lives were lost, but business and livelihood destroyed. As the IFP, we are concerned. According to the National Treasury, real GDP is expected to grow by 2.1% in 2022, an average of 1.8% over the medium term. This limited economic growth rate does not bode well to South Africa as a whole and a small business in particular. This is why the budget allocation of the Department of Small Business Development must work harder and give the beneficiaries more back for their buck. We cannot afford a single cent to go to waste through irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure. And any opportunities for the corruption must be also be identified and prevailed before losses occurred. As the IFP, we further have a concern that we believe merit the attention of this House. The first is the merge of the small business finance, small enterprise.
Honourable Member, your time is now expired. Thank you. The next speaker is the Honourable Wessels.
Thank you, House Chairperson. House Chair, the Minister speaks about bringing hope. The question is, if the 2.563 billion rand appropriated to this department will bring hope, will it bring hope to struggling SMMEs? Will it bring hope to the millions of unemployed South Africans? I understand, Honourable Chairperson, why the Minister's video was off during her address. Because if I was responsible for the destruction of small business in South Africa, I would also hide my face in shame. We hear the same thing over and over again each year. One roadshow after the other, one master plan after the other. We hear that government will make it easier and will focus on making it easier to do business, will cut the red tape. And yet this department fails year in and year out to do that. Now the Honourable President has appointed someone, or will appoint, nobody knows, someone to do this very pivotal and very important function, something this department should have played a role in doing. But Honourable Deputy or Honourable Chairperson, this proves once again that this department is redundant. The Honourable Siwela says after 8 years of existence, it is now time for the department to move. But this department can be considered as a failed experiment. Small business development did not take place since this department has come into existence. The actual opposite has happened. This department should actually be merged with the Department of Trade and Industry rather. For small businesses, Chairperson, to thrive, we firstly need basic service delivery. Our municipalities should function. No business can function under the current circumstances, where roads and transport infrastructure are completely deteriorated. No business can function and thrive whilst there's load shedding and unreliable electricity supply. No business can thrive whilst there is erratic water supply and sewage running in the street. Governments, and this government, has failed to actually develop small businesses and create a conducive environment for small businesses. Government's policies are failed. Its cadre deployment, its corruption is responsible for the difficulty to do business. Honourable Chairperson, to get this economy going and develop small businesses, we do not only have to get rid of this department, but we have to get rid of the ANC government, the failed ANC government. And that, Honourable Minister, brings hope. That is what is bringing hope, is 2024. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Thrim.
Thank you, Honourable House Chairperson. As we consider this budget vote, the ACDP is cognizant of the fact that in most developed and developing economies, up to 70% of the jobs created emanates from the small business sector. The critical importance of small businesses, those who seek to destroy or diminish the role of small business, we cannot allow this to take place. The ACDP is aware that the Department of Small Business Development is tasked with the responsibility of leading and coordinating an integrated approach to the promotion and development of an enabling legislative and policy environment to increase employment and reduce poverty and inequality. However, with a 3-year budget extending to 2024-25 of over 7.8 billion over 4 programs, this is easier said than done. If the values of this department, such as integrity and professionalism, are to be upheld, then it is important that some of the recommendations of the committee are fast-tracked, some of these being the National Small Enterprise Amendment Bill, together with the mergers and necessary organograms, must be concluded speedily. The outstanding forensic investigation must be brought to finality, and the investigation report of the Auditor General must be made public so that where necessary, corrective action can be taken and consequence management applied. House Chair, it is unacceptable that CIFA has not supplied the committee with a list of cooperatives that were funded from 1 April 2021 to the 31st of March 2022. And using the Papaya Act as an excuse will not hold water. We must remember that the National Lottery Board refused to release the names of beneficiaries, citing the Papaya Act. But when they were forced to disclose, it was then that the rot and corruption was revealed. As I conclude, the ACDP calls on the small business sector not to be used as government's agents to flout Section 12(2)(c) constitutional rights of their employees by implementing vaccine mandates in the workplace when science shows that both the vaccinated and unvaccinated can contract COVID. And Professor Shabir Mahdi, who advised the Corona Command Council, is on record for saying that the vaccine drive did not work because vaccines don't prevent infection. In addition, he said that those with previous infections have as much protection as anyone who has had an mRNA jab. It's time to stop the madness. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Deputy Minister of Small Business Development. The Honourable Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much, Chair, and good afternoon. And also to the Chair of the Council of Provinces, ministers and deputy ministers, honorable members of the National Assembly, honorable members of the National Council of Provinces, the distinguished guests, members of cooperatives that are present here today, and those listening all over the country, the small, medium, and micro business owners, ladies and gentlemen. The issues and questions which have been raised in this house are welcome. We will attempt to provide a reasonable response that is as honest as possible, as being taught by Amilcar Cabral, and I quote, "Hide nothing from the masses of our people. Tell no lies, expose lies whenever they are told. Mask no difficulties, mistakes, failures, claim no easy victories," close quotes. But just as our country was attempting to address the legacy of apartheid and colonialism of a special type, we had to deal with the 2007-2008 global economic crisis. As if this was not enough, we had to confront COVID-19 head on in 2020. Just recently, when we had developed an economic reconstruction and recovery plan, we had to deal with the unrest in KZN and parts of Gauteng. And now it is the impact of floods which had happened in KZN and in the Eastern Cape. These are provinces with high levels of poverty incidence. All these have worsened the crisis of unemployment, poverty, and inequality. Therefore, the challenges we face require our collective effort across the political divide. Just as we would appreciate the criticism, we also need your constructive ideas and solutions to the challenges facing our country. And on the National Integrated Small Enterprise Development Master Plan, which is NISED, the master plan is a coordinating framework for the development and support of SMMEs in South Africa. It is formulated based on resolving 4 key issues that restrict the growth, potential, and success for SMMEs and cooperatives. These include the following: information asymmetry, policy uncertainty, service delivery shortfalls, and mistrust between government and business. Cabinet has approved the draft master plan for public comments, and we are calling on the academia, community, labor, and various spheres of government, including all South Africans, to submit comments on the red tape reduction. Red tape refers to excessive bureaucracy or adherence to official rules and formalities that inhibit the ease of doing business. The Department of Trade, Industry and Competition and National Treasury have focused on specific reforms linked to 10 of World Bank's ease of doing business indicators. Task teams have, amongst others, focused on specific improvements leading to such initiatives as the online biz portal that has significantly cut the time taken to register a business, reduced the number of procedures in the issuing of construction permits through doing away with approval stamps from 4 different agencies. Whilst the ease of doing business program focuses on the necessary regulatory and business process efficiency reforms, the Department of Small Business Development has been driving awareness around the need to address unnecessary red tape within government. In this regard, our department has been working with local, provincial, national departments as in partnership with the Government Technical Advisory Center, which is GTEC. We have completed a diagnostic report on red tape reduction. Coming out of this report, the department has run a municipal level initiative. The outcomes of this initiative will input into rationalizing municipal reporting requirements, as well as initiatives at national, provincial, and district level. We also are taking lessons from the pilot into the red tape reduction awareness program we will run with 20 municipalities this year. Red tape cases derive from bottlenecks across the local, provincial, and national levels. In this context, we see the Red Tape Reduction Office in the Presidency working as an escalation mechanism for issues that cannot be dealt with at provincial level by COGTA, by DTIC, and National Treasury, or by our department. On incorporation of CIFA and Cooperative Bank Development Agency into SIDA, compared to global peers, small enterprises are the biggest contributors to form creation and economic growth. But in South Africa, the small enterprise sector is underperforming. The reasons for this underperformance range from historical legacies, the structure of the economy, lack of suitable and properly coordinated government support for the sector. The current reality is that support offered to small enterprises in the country is disjointed, not at the required magnitude, and generally gets too few SMMEs and cooperatives in respect of both the financial and non-financial support. This is reflected in the data on SMMEs survival rates. In light of the above, the department got approval from Cabinet to proceed with the process of incorporating small business support functions into a single agency. We are at the advanced stage of setting up a project management unit that will offer support to the department in ensuring that this work of incorporating CIFA and the Cooperative Bank Agency into SIDA is finalized by the 31st of December 2023. And then the development of cooperatives. International studies have shown that countries which have created an environment conducive to the promotion of cooperatives by developing legislative instruments, supportive programs, and delivery institutions grow rapidly and contribute positively to the economic development, employment creation, and economic ownership by local communities and human resource development. I can give examples like in Spain, Kenya, Italy, India, and Bangladesh, which have successfully worked on cooperatives. As a country, we need to derive lessons from these experiences as we prepare to scale up our work on cooperatives. On the funding policy for SMMEs and cooperatives, Cabinet has approved that the Department of Small Business Development develop the SMMEs and cooperatives funding policy to unlock funding opportunities to SMMEs sector. The policy is aimed at strengthening the provision of development finance towards the SMME sector with a view to improve access to finance for SMMEs and cooperatives. In line with this mandate, the department is leading the process of developing the SMMEs and cooperatives funding policy. The department has been involved over the past 2 months in several consultative sessions supported by the EU-funded Ecosystem Development for Small Enterprises program. We are currently in the process of consolidating these inputs so that they can be tabled in Cabinet for approval. Lastly, Chair, the envisaged introduction of the Cooperative Bank Development Agency into our portfolio has presented us with an opportunity to provide qualitative to cooperative enterprises. With these few words, I thank you, Chair, and thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister. Honorable members, as I introduce the Honorable Zungula, I also invite the Honorable Jumat Peterson to preside over the rest of this mini plenary. The Honorable Zungula.
Thank you, Chair. Citizens in the SME sector are very clear. The issue of SMMEs must not be made about slogans and rhetoric. It must be about practical programs to uplift SMMEs in the country. All economic indicators globally point to one thing, and that is the growth of the economy is linked to SMME development. SMMEs, citizens are able and willing to run their own SMMEs. They just need support from the government. The department must provide solutions tailor-made for the South African context. South Africa is a mix of both formal and the informal economy. The Department of Small Business only focuses on the formal economy and ignores the millions of citizens who ply their trade in the informal economy. The requirements for funding and government assistance must be tailor-made for the informal sector, where citizens run businesses with less formal requirements. Hawkers, car washes, spaza shops, saloons must all receive funding and support from the government. The department must prioritize correcting the anomaly of 82% of the SME sector in Northwest not being in the hands of the citizens. This is the case all over the country, and the silence of the department in this anomaly is very concerning. What's even more concerning is a report by Times Live that states more than 6 billion of our South African rands left our economy to fund terrorists. This is money that could be used to circulate around the country, grow the economy, and create jobs. The Department of Small Business must have a compliance division in order to ensure all traders trade within the law. This division must also deal with the fake, expired, and rejected goods that are used to poison our people. The department must work with the Competition Commission in order to deal with the predatory business practices that completely wipe out local businesses in the SME sector. We can't allow South Africa to be a banana republic and everyone does as they please. We can't allow native citizens of this country to be displaced from the economy. We can't allow Black South Africans in particular to be relegated to a state of being grant dependence. The department must protect South Africans in the SME sector. South African-owned spaza shops, saloons, hawkers, general dealers, taverns, hardwares must be protected from being completely displaced in the economy. The department must have a mission of ensuring South Africans dominate the SME sector. South Africans must dominate all economic activities in our country. It is the hatred of our citizens when majority of economic activities in the SME sector are not dominated by citizens. If South Africans aren't dominant players in the South African SME sector, which other economy will they dominate in? So siyacela maqabane, bantu abaphethe ilizwe, please correct this anomaly. Wherever that we go across the country, we must have South Africans being the dominant players on all economic activities.
Thank you very much, Honorable Zungula. The following speaker from the ANC, Honorable April.
Thank you very much, House Chairperson, honorable members, our Minister, our Deputy Minister, all protocols observed. I don't know if I can be heard and seen properly, but let me jump into the work of the day. The story of South African entrepreneurship is a long and inspiring one. Before there was our Department of Small Business Development, even before we defeated the apartheid state, Black entrepreneurs like Lebo Gunguzula braved the conditions of oppression to launch successful enterprises. When Lebo arrived in Durban in 1990, he had 60 rand to his name. At the age of 26, he started his first company. He became one of Africa's youngest self-made Black millionaires without any funding or tenders from government, and overcame tremendous odds in his entrepreneurial journey to build a multi-million rand empire over the years. Recalling those heady days, Lebo says, I spent my first million in 1 year. By the end of 1999, he was flat broke. My car was repossessed and I was blacklisted, he said. Down and out, he would go into the C&A stores nearby and stand in a corner reading business books that he couldn't afford to buy. If the staff chased him away, he'd go home, change his clothes, and come right back. He says, I made up my mind that whatever I went into next, I would be in a space that pays well and that has structure. I would also continuously reinvest in the business, in my business, watch my cash flow, and do business only with scrupulous clients who paid me on time. Entrepreneurs are risk takers with drive and ambition, who have a unique mindset which sets them apart from other run-of-the-mill businesses. Lebu's story is no different from another famous entrepreneur by the name of the Chinese billionaire Jack Ma. Jack Ma tells his story that he failed his university entrance exam. And when KFC came to China, out of 25 people, 24 were hired. And guess what? He was not one of them. Because Jack was an entrepreneur, he never gave up and worked as a self-employed tour guide, helping foreign tourists in order to teach himself to speak English. A trip to Seattle in '95, where a friend showed him the internet for the first time, proved to be a decisive stepping stone into his future. In '99, he founded the Alibaba Group as a business-to-business e-commerce platform, and today, one of the biggest multinational technology companies specializing in retail e-commerce and technology. The Department of Small Business is not and must never become a SASA for all and sundry who wish to become SMMEs and cooperatives. It must unearth talent and facilitate the emergence of South African entrepreneurs who have the never give up spirit that Lebo and Jack had. Such a caliber of innovative business people work hard, make the sacrifices, and succeed against all odds. The department and the whole of government must develop capacity to unearth these gems and give opportunities and tailor-made support for them. Such people are the ones who will provide employment for those who are not made for the risky cutthroat endeavors that a real entrepreneur goes through. Entrepreneurs in Rega Park, in Alexandra, they are also in Mitchell's Plain, in equal measure as they exist in Sandton and Constantia. The only difference is that the ones in Sandton and Constantia are born into privilege and mountains of money in trust funds. They are born with the figurative silver and gold spoon in their mouths. Our mandate as the African National Congress is not to fight against the trust fund babies. No, we are not anti-white or anti-rich people movement. No, our mandate is to do what China did since 1978 and South Korea since 1960, to unleash the talent of South Africans who are party that relegated to a miserable existence of poverty, unemployment, substance abuse, and crime. We know that even in such circumstances, our people emerge and form businesses and industries they can claim as their own. Spaza shops, taxis, and other businesses thrive in our own townships and our villages. Many of them, like our late icon Richard Maponya, who has built a huge mall with a value chain in Soweto, is one of the examples that we can make. The impact of COVID-19, the civil unrest in July 2021 in KZN and Gauteng, and the natural disasters in some of our provinces has impacted thousands of SMMEs and cooperatives negatively. The ANC welcomes the medium-term recovery program and COVID-19 relief programs such as the SMME Debt Relief Fund and the Business Growth Resilient Facility introduced in the previous financial year. The back support scheme announced by National Treasury just now the other day on the 26th of April 2022 is also designed to support business recovering from the July 2021 unrest as well as the flood-related disasters in various provinces. Examples of business people who have been assisted, especially from, like in Alexandra, there's a state-of-the-art flagship 4IR business incubation hub that has been launched by the Department of Small Business, and that is connecting businesses from different spaces and from different spheres. I want to also say it is a real shame that the DAEFF coalition that cannot even pay small businesses in Tshwane, Kuruleni, and Joburg want to come and score cheap political points here. The small business need to be paying on time with lip service while they are not paying even small businesses in these municipalities that they are currently governing, showing their lack to govern. I also really want to suggest that Honorable Baloa go for basic reading lessons to enable her to articulate the written speeches of the researchers that they have written for her. Mr. Wessels, he really has to go to Oranje and show what his organization think about Blacks in general and Africans in particular. It is only the African National-led government that is serious about transforming the lives of small business people. And with this, I thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable April. Honorable Heron from Good.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, if the state is seriously looking to the small business sector to create 9 million jobs and lead South Africa's socioeconomic recovery, we're going to need to bring the banking sector to the party and jointly develop an enabling environment that acknowledges small businesses' struggles in a struggling economy over the past decade and a half. The fact that just 27% of the 200 million rand COVID-19 loan guarantee scheme that was announced by President Ramaphosa in April 2020 has actually been approved, with another 13% somewhere in the pipeline, shouts at us to wake up. It reflects the very wide gulf that exists between the vision of small businesses leading South Africa's socioeconomic recovery and the precarious position many small businesses that haven't been forced to their knees yet over the past 2 years actually find themselves in today. According to the Banking Association, the main reason that just 27% of the loan guarantee scheme has been approved was due to many small businesses having already been in financial distress before the COVID disaster struck. Many small businesses were not in good standing before the pandemic, did not have a record of paying their debts, and had unrealistic expectations of borrowing money they'd been unable to repay. If just 27% of entities had their books in order and their ducks in a row on entering COVID, it implies that nearly 3/4 of the sector were already in trouble at the time. Even if the extra 13% of applications are eventually approved, it implies that 60% of small businesses entering COVID were unfundable according to the present financial sector rules. The loan guarantee scheme announced by President Ramaphosa was a joint initiative of the government, the banking sector, Reserve Bank, and Treasury. Treasury would initially fund a 100 million rand guarantee with an option to increase it to 200 million if needed, and provided the scheme was successful. If we could only disburse 27 million of a potential 200 million rand loan guarantee in 2 years, how does the state and the financial sector propose to materially assist small businesses to grow 9 million jobs now? And what happens to businesses still in distress and drowning in debt, including all those excluded from benefiting from the COVID loan scheme? Do we simply write them off now? And what happens to businesses, or should we be considering an amnesty of some kind coupled with business development assistance to enable them to keep operating? Should we be obliging established businesses to play a mentorship role in guiding new entrants to the market? In an economy of such dramatic inequality as ours, without changing the rules, the real existential questions remain. How do new businesses enter the game if they don't have resources to tap into loans? And are the rules of the game too geared to further enriching those who already have resources, which implies that most South Africans are excluded? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Hiren. AIC. Cope. Honorable Tlomelang from the ANC.
House Chairperson, ministers and deputy ministers present, Chairperson Ms. Violet Sewell and colleagues in the Committee on Small Business Development, honorable members. It was 8 years ago that the President of the Republic of South Africa announced the establishment of the Department of Small Businesses in May 2014. The announcement marked a turning point in the history of SMMEs and cooperatives at the center of economic growth and job creation. This is in line with the aspiration of the National Development Plan. In this year, which the African National Congress has declared a year to advance and defend South Africa's democratic gains, we need to debate what the substance of these gains are, particularly for our people in the small enterprises and cooperatives. Today, I pay special tribute to those workers in the informal economy and those who are abused by metropolis and criminals in cities like Cape Town and Johannesburg. Priorities of the committee. In our committee meeting last week, we committed ourselves to maintain oversight of the department's commitment and implementation of the committee's resolution. In this regard, the ANC will ensure that we see improvement and achievement of the targets, particularly for the empowerment of youth, people with disability, and women-owned enterprises. This, together with the development of village, townships, and small dorpies, SMMEs, and cooperatives, have the great impact on achieving the purpose of this vote and mandate of the department.
Honorable Chairperson, the ANC welcomes Township and Rural Entrepreneurship Program as a necessary innovation by the department. The department introduced the program in the middle of 2020-2021 financial year as part of the country's COVID-19 economic recovery program. Township and Rural Entrepreneurship provides maximum of 1 million towards working capital and other capital expenditure. What is significant is that in a 100,000 package, 50,000 is a grant. Small business people have benefited from the favorable repayment terms, maximum 60 months and fixed interest rate of 5%. TRAP targets enterprise in rural areas and township, targeting mainly businesses and owned by women, youth, and people with disability. This program supported over 13,000 businesses and aims to support 20,000 rural and township enterprises in the next financial year 2023-2024. This support goes to businesses that are the backbone of villages, township economy, like spaza shops, bakeries, confectionaries, auto bodies, repairs, mechanics, hairdressers, clothing, textiles, chisanama, and butcheries. 2.9 billion has been budgeted to continue to roll out this program with the aim of supporting 100,000 township and rural enterprise by 2024. Chairperson, concerns raised in the committee. Access to finance has consistently been raised as a challenge by the informal businesses, startup, existing SMMEs and cooperatives. The ANC support the department's commitment to focus initiatives such as building sustainable loan book, investment in sustainable Black-owned financial intermediary base, and capacity building services to improve the sustainability of clients. We are concerned, however, that SEDA's budget is projected to decrease from 2019 to 2025, as well as SEDA's budget, cut in excess of 3 million during the previous financial year. Achievements of the department. The ANC is excited about the launch earlier this year of the Hustle Academy, with the support of the department and global tech giant Google, who committed to help empower local entrepreneurship in free work long boot camp. We are also happy that the department has focused on master plans, targeting the manufacturing, agricultural, digital, automotive, mining, and industries. To achieve an inclusive economy, we need to more effectively support the growth, vibrant and sustainable small, medium, micro enterprise and cooperatives. The ANC government has specifically set aside target for designated groups to help those in past who were locked out of playing role in our economy. As the president said, we are unapologetic that at least 40% of government procurement spent must go to women-owned enterprise, 30% to youth, and 7% to companies owned by persons with disability. House Chairperson, with this, the ANC support the budget vote. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Klobelang. PAC. Al-Jama, Honorable Hendrik.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chair. Honorable House Chair, the chairman of the Portfolio Committee referred to the triple whammy that has caused a lot of disruption in the programs of the Small Business Development Department. So I don't want to delve into their failures. And I must say that if we use the last term as an example, we will never achieve what President Ramaphosa has promised the nation, that most of our jobs will come from the small business sector. However, we have listened to the minister, we've listened to the deputy minister, we've listened to the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on the way forward, and that gives us a lot of encouragement that we are not going to let the president down and not achieve the many jobs that we must create from the Small Business Development Department. I'm not going to speak about Ukraine, the Honorable Chair. I don't know where that fits in the debate, but it must be related to the fact that the Democratic Alliance has put Gauteng under administration. So all its lawmakers in all spheres of government are now put on terms, and many of them are said to be fired. Let's come back to some positive developments. We are aware of the fact that a village in the Eastern Cape called Mapami Village, they have been given a fishing vessel to transform that rural village to a fishing village, and I call it a smart village. If the Small Business Development Department takes it further, they've used the technology transfer funding, they should do more. So it would be nice to know that villages are being transformed into fishing villages, and maybe even a harbor, Honorable House Chair. Honorable House Chair, I was in Dimbaza over the weekend to be close to the conference that I had in the Eastern Cape. And Dimbaza, we know, was a former Saskai, and most of the activists during that time were dumped in Dimbaza for their resistance activities. That particular area has got an industrial park, and I can't see any reason why Small Business Development Department should do something for Dimbaza, because our resistance fighters were dumped in Dimbaza. Lastly, Honorable House Chair, the Minister Minister De Lille is responsible for creating jobs for the poor, which is not necessarily aligned to our Labor Relations Act. And she has created, I supported the president in creating many jobs, but we have asked her to go for full.
Thank you very much, Honorable Hendricks. Thank you very much, Honorable Hendricks. Honorable Kruger.
Geachte huisvoorsitter, this is dedicated to the risk takers, the job creators, the entrepreneurs, to those get up every day and fight a losing battle against the monsters this government has created. The bureaucracy that seeps into everything government touches. The red tape between success and other failed small businesses. Government spent billions of rand in many departments on the development of small businesses. However, the SMME failure rate is one of the worst globally, with an estimated 5 out of 7 SMMEs failing within their first 3 operational years. The result is that people's dignity is often one of the casualties, with community instability the consequences. Global Entrepreneurship Monitor measured the total early stage entrepreneurial activity in South Africa at a low of 17%. A study in 2017 concluded that only 10% of adults intend to start their own business in South Africa. The fewer SMMEs that are established along with existing SMMEs faltering, resulting in a dramatic decrease in the employment opportunities. To address the problem of limited business establishment and growth, government must create an environment beneficial for entrepreneurs, with no bureaucratic intervention and where politics wait outside. To state that the ANC has failed in South Africa, to state that the ANC has failed the South African small business constituency is a gross understatement. Government must use their powers and functions to free small business from the clutches of red tape. However, the DA welcomed the President's announcement of the red tape unit during the SONA address. This was, in essence, a motion of no confidence in the 3 ministers the ANC has appointed since the addition of the Ministry of Small Business Development in 2014. The red tape reduction bill tabled in the 5th Parliament and the ease of doing business bill tabled in the 6th by the DA was sadly rejected by the ANC. What makes the ANC's rejections of these bills staggering is that they were, in essence, exactly what the President Ramaphosa had called for during SONA 2022. If passed into legislation, these bills would have cut costs and relieved burdens on small business who have suffered for far too long.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kruger. Honorable Sheikh Imam.
Chair, I've got 6 minutes. Chair. Chairperson?
Yes, I'll give you 1 minute.
No, I have 6 minutes.
Good. Continue.
Can I get, Madam Chair, on a point of order, Madam Chair?
Continue.
And can I, because according to my records, I've got 6 minutes.
Yes, we'll give you extra time.
All right, can I carry on? Thank you.
Yes, you may finish.
Thank you. Die komiteeverslag is nie 'n groot skok of onthullings, maar bloot bevestiging van die departement se terminale onbekwaamheid om hulle eie skip in veilige vaarwaters te hou. Die minister se verwarde skeepskaptein sonder rigting of roer afwesig van meeste komiteevergaderings. Ten minste 9 van die komitee se 15 waarnemings is negatief. 'n duidelike bewys dat die ANC nie bevoeg is om hierdie belangrike strategie en werkskepping deur middel van klein sake te bestuur. If you happen to study the committee's report, it would be very difficult to claim that the minister and the department are doing a good job of addressing the rights of aid to entrepreneurs and small business owners. The massive unbalanced aid environment between informal traders sitting next to the road to sell their goods and formal business is an oversight of the policymakers in the governing party, hence the failure to address unemployment. Wat kommerwekkend is dat die regering nie as entrepreneurs kan of wil ontwikkel nie. Suid-Afrika is 'n trotse nasie wat beheer wil vat oor hul toekoms. Ongelukkig val die regering om hierdie honger na ontwikkeling te stil. Ons gemeenskappe in die landelike gebiede suig al vir jare die agterste speen en het dit tyd geword vir 'n verandering in die regering. Think of a South Africa where entrepreneurs can trade without barriers from government. Barriers include red tape, spatial development by municipalities, service delivery, labor laws, and property rights, just to name a few. This thought will take you to a caring government, a government that's free, fair, and pregnant of opportunities for all. This government is called the DA government. In 2024, the DA will take over this government and will make sure that we are the champions of a friendly, job-creating business environment for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My apologies for interrupting you, Honorable Kruger. It was the time I received from the table. Honorable Sheikh Imam.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thanks for your indulgence. I was busy on another session at the other side on another vote. The National Freedom Party notes budget vote 36, Department of Small Business Development, and indeed we will support this budget vote. Having said that, Chairperson, we note that 5.2 billion rand in tax relief will be made available, particularly for 15,000 youth-owned enterprises to boost economic recovery and youth unemployment. However, to properly respond to the after effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, we first need to understand it. Many companies closed their doors because of COVID-19. Then we had the problem of the insurrection that took place in July. And now, of course, we've had the floods in KwaZulu-Natal, the Eastern Cape, and I would say the parts of the Northwest. I think what is important to note that the small business sector particularly, which in terms of a report shows that 98% of the country's economy is made up of small and medium-sized enterprises, but they are only delivering 28% of the jobs. Yet 90% of the jobs will be created by small businesses by 2030, which is what we are saying. Now, how do we actually intend doing this? And I think, Chairperson, we need to understand something. Yes, indeed, economic growth is at an all-time low in the country. Many of our youth and others are unemployed. But also we need to understand that most of these youngsters, particularly that go into small businesses, do not have the necessary skills. When I talk about skills, they may have the skills in the particular kind of business they're entering into, but unless they are also skilled in terms of management, accounting, principles, labor relations and things, just allocating funds to them and leaving them to be able to make a success of it is very difficult. So you've got to nurture them over a period of time. Now, some of the challenges that the small businesses are experiencing currently is the high cost of doing business. For starters, they can't compete because of the high labor cost, the stringent conditions, the high rentals, and all these things that add to it. Now, I think when we need to give them assistance, it's not just about rolling out the money, but also to give them a comprehensive support so that they can actually make a success of it. Now, currently,
thank you very much, Honorable. Thank you very much, Honorable Shekima.
Supports it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Jacobs.
Thank you, House Chair, Minister, and honourable members. As the ANC, we support this bill, this budget debate. We meet at a critical juncture in our life of our beloved country, impacted by challenges of COVID, widespread hunger, poverty, greed, corruption, unprecedented levels of unemployment, business atrophy, and global crisis. Despite these harrowing realities, small business hold huge potential to address these challenges and remain a vital cog in our national economic recovery efforts. Across the world, there's about 400,000 SMMEs, and they are the backbone of the economies of the world and account for more than 95% of the firms and between 70% of the jobs. So SMMEs hold a big potential for us in terms of income generation, improving the quality of life, and also addressing our transformation and development goals. So it goes without saying that this department plays a critical role, and our budget debate spells out the building blocks to advance this. Honourable House Chair, CEDA, CIFA, and CIFA's annual has over the last medium term been impacted by the realities of COVID, and it's important for us to improve and build on the work that they've done. In this regard, the annual performance plan and budget for 2022-23 are of critical importance as they are able to reflect our wishes and unlock the immense differences in SMMEs that they can do to achieve our transformation agenda. We must ensure that the annual performance plans are exactly that and hinges on our ability to translate our dreams into our reality. Honourable Heron, we agree access to finance is the big elephant in the room, and we must explore your recommendations. It remains a tragedy and a farce that South African banks refuse to bank and lend to the informal traders and emerging operators, entrepreneurs. Hence, we welcome the innovative micro development finance products and policy instruments as outlined by the Minister. We appreciate the commitment to seamless and automated application process, and we agree with Honourable Zungila that we need practical, simple programs. We need to stop the predatory practice of the Competition Commission as outlined by the Competition Commission and get South Africans to take risks. Honourable Zungila, we can't legislate risk and chance, but like Honourable April says, we must unleash the potential of South Africans and they must become more entrepreneurial. Honourable Kruger, I think we have listened. Mr. Nkosi is with the department and he will apply all the best efforts to eliminate the red tape and that stifle small business. And we've seen success from smaller countries like Rwanda. Minister, we are also pleased that there will be a provincial and district breakdown allocation of the budget so that we can ensure equity and transparency in the process. We welcome the finalization of the legislative framework, and we will watch that as this portfolio with great interest. We applaud the Gauteng government signing into law of the Township Economic Bill and the City of Joburg approving the informal trading policy that will assist with addressing the tensions between local and foreign-owned businesses. And we are calling on all metros, especially the City of Cape Town, to focus on Black, rural, local and township businesses. It's very clear that there's a big assault on small informal traders in Langa, in the Rylands, on the parade here in Cape Town. We want to see this department also work with organized local government, SALGA, to meaningfully promote township and local economic development and drive district-based economic planning. We also welcome the commitment to support more than 200 community-based cooperatives. In the State of the Nation address, the President made appeal for government, civil society, big business to work together in a social compact in order to drive the economic recovery and enhance social cohesion. In the past 2 years, we've seen many players in civil society, business have demonstrated their true South African nature and patriotism, and helping South Africa through this difficult time that we experienced. We wish to reiterate the call and make the appeal. Those that have concentrated capital in their hands, you know who you are. Collectively, we must do more, but big business have a critical role in promoting localization, facilitating entry into the mainstream economy by emerging Black businesses. Local is not only lekker, local is needed, and we welcome the public-private platform created by the department. We cannot do this alone, and unless we work cooperatively and pursue an more inclusive economy, it's a matter of time where we will encounter more destructive events as we've seen and witnessed in July 2021, or perhaps on a larger scale. We agree that we must move beyond the roadshows, the indabas. Now is the time for delivery. Now is the time for renewal. Now is the time for rebuilding. Now is the time to unite. Whilst the DA continues to fearmonger, nag, promote doom and gloom, and complain, we bring hope, practical change, and renewal. The DA and its leader can only nitpick and navel gaze. Come to the Cape Flats and do a fact-finding mission on the lived experience of African and colored people in the townships that has to experience daily gang violence and poverty and open air sanitation stinches in here. Instead, you focus on the price of potato chips in school tuck shops, because that's the only thing that you can focus on. We must work collectively to fulfill our constitutional mandate of dignity and access and a better life for all. Honorable vessels, we agree we need to improve infrastructure, water, electricity, but you must encourage, or you must help us encourage white Afrikaner capital to invest and support Black businesses. Imagine Black shoppers start a boycott of ShopRite and other white businesses. So it does make business sense for South Africans to work together and to cooperate, as outlined by the ANC. Honorable Tring, we share your sense of urgency and transparency for the beneficiaries, and we will also push that quite hard in this portfolio committee. But we do not share your false faith in the anti-vaccination sentiment. Vaccination is proved to have saved lives, and we want to encourage everybody to vaccinate. And it's irresponsible for our honorable member to have this anti-vaccination sentiment. I also want to approach the honorable member of the EFF. It's actually a shame that she's deliberately misleading the House. 98% of this budget will go directly into grant funding for small business. So it's incorrect what she says. Honorable Tromelang, we thank you for explaining the trap application and the innovation that is happening there. Yes, Honorable Hendrik, we as the ANC, we leave no one behind. Even in these small fishing villages and klein dorpies, the ANC lost niemand agter nie. Minister, we have faith in you and our team. We expect and we will continue to do oversight, but we expect delivery. The ANC supports small business because small business is everybody's business. The ANC tables and supports Vote 36, Small Business Development Bill. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The Honourable Minister of Small Business Development, Honourable Minister.
Thank you so much, Honourable Chairperson. I want to highlight the following: that we note the contributions that are made by the honourable members. We do appreciate the frankness of the contributions, and we understand them as part of a necessary, robust debate about how we serve the SMME and cooperative sector better and how we improve the economic plight of our people. The imperative of the economic recovery, reconstruction, and transformation is a challenge that faces all of us. While we might choose to be partisan about it and seek to score cheap political points, our people are looking at us for leadership and to ameliorate their plight. Chairperson, I would like to just respond to a few of the things that have been raised. As I said, I appreciate the engagement. Firstly, we continue to do our good work in our space in ensuring that SMMEs thrive and succeed. We're still going to continue to push for more women and young women, including youth in general, to access continental and international markets. As a result, we've started to take our people out of the country. We went to Tanzania with 20 SMMEs, woman-owned, and that was part of exposure. We proceeded to Dubai, again with a high number of entrepreneurs mixed of gender. We continue to ensure that whatever that we do benefits the small business ecosystem. There's a pity that others choose to be blind to that reality. On the issue of the investigation, that was not done or reported as the other honorable member claimed here. The investigation report was done by AGSA, and the department did provide a response on that, on the portfolio committee of the 4th of November in 2020, wherein they gave an input and they did talk to the implementation of the report that resulted in a disciplinary action. Again, on others wanting to really give a false hope to our people, fortunately, they have eyes and ears, because they bear testimony to this, because they are our beneficiaries. We may not have touched everyone, but we have tried our best. And this is why, honorable members, up to now, just this year, we've really tried our best on the informal sector. We've distributed about 9.7 million worth of the equipment and support that we provided to small businesses. And as I said, I'm talking about things that have happened just now. And under the business recovery program, following the riots that were faced in KwaZulu-Natal and KZN, as we reported to the portfolio committee and the House, we provided 235 million, and of course, we dispersed 176 million to other businesses. And these are the deals that come out of our agencies, which means they are government intervention through the Department of Small Business Development. Under the recovery scheme for informal businesses, we supported 5,135 informal businesses to the tune of 13.75 million. Again, this is entailed in the report that we've provided to the portfolio committee. Therefore, it is not fair to the people of South Africa to have an honorable member misleading everyone that the department does not support informal businesses. And I agree that indeed we have to do more. With the little that we have, there's much more that needs to be done, which is why we really appreciate your support, honorable members. And we are hopeful that you'll walk this journey with us and assist us in pleading for more money for small businesses. As I indicated earlier, and I heard Honorable Fayez also mentioning it, that it is not true that the money of the department goes towards salaries. That's not just there, unless one is providing oversight. That is not understood. If it is understood and one reads the documents that we send, one will know what are the numbers, including the recent presentation that we have made. I can assure all of you, honorable members, that we are more determined to work with all of you in ensuring that our SMMEs thrive. Because when our SMMEs thrive, it means that our economy is going to grow. And when our economy grows, it means more jobs have to be created. And that requires all of us, irrespective of the slogans or the t-shirts that we wear. Yes, towards elections, we may politic, but all of us are public representatives, that through the processes and the responsibilities that we have, we ought to make sure that we complement each other. We shouldn't be talking about the legacies of the past if all of us were focused, including in the municipalities where we govern. The challenges that continue to be faced by informal businesses in Western Cape are a reality of what you can see. And yes, national government can't do it alone. We are responsible for certain things, as others believe that Mr. Ngosi is replacing our work. Again, it talks to the understanding of the scope of the small business ecosystem and what needs to be done. We're not going to wake up as the Department of Small Business Development and issue bylaws. We're not going to wake up and provide water licenses. There are respective departments for that. And I have said, Honorable Chair, several times that the members, especially those that are responsible for the portfolio committee or those that want to politic about the work that we do, should make it their responsibility to understand the broader ecosystem, but we are here to assist everywhere all the time. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, and thank you, honorable members.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Jacobs, it is not parliamentary to say a member had deliberately misled the House without a substantive motion. This is just a caution, and we'll look at that from the side of the table. Honorable
House Chair, I withdraw.
Thank you very much, Honorable Jacobs. Honorable members, that concludes the debate and business of this virtual mini plenary session. The mini plenary will now rise and the House is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Long live!
Long live the chair.